The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good afternoon, traders. Yes. Happy Wednesday. It feels so good because as much as I hate the gap, by the time we talk through the weekend, I mean, the week's really 60% done, right? We've got an hour left. We're 3 days in. We've got 2 left. We'll talk again Friday. So, I know we're at the tail end of the week when we start to hang out and have afternoon coffee. Always excited. I'll be filling in for Vlad next week on Monday, actually. And then the following week, all Monday or every morning. So we get a little extra time together here this fall season. Very excited for that. Formally, officially, welcome out everybody to the Tradespoon Live Trading Room Stocks and Options Closing Bell. I am Scott. I'm the head trading coach here at Tradespoon. Hi, LK. Thank you. Good to see you, Martine. Thank you. Can see and hear. Love it. Always glad to know I'm not talking to myself. A little bit about me. I've been trading for a while, and I have been teaching for a while, actually even longer than that slide says. Older and older. These are my disclosures, not my disclosures, the disclosures. Take a look. Be careful, essentially, is what it says. All right. Well, let's talk about it. We got there to the Fed, right? Kind of what we expected. The Fed is so, all this transparency. I don't know. I've said it before. I'll keep saying it. I miss the good old days. Alan Greenspan, close to the chest. Love to slap the market with a surprise. Right now, it's just like, yeah, okay, there it is. We got unchanged. Says that they're still likely to get one more in. We've got 2 more meetings, right? We've got early November, and then we've got mid-December, about 6 weeks. Which one it is they leave it open because that they could surprise you with you know what? Turns out we don't need it. If you look at our economic calendar, we already have next week. So this week, there's really not much else, right? We've got jobless claims tomorrow. That's been pretty steady, as long as that stays pretty steady. And again, we've seen it tick up to 250, 265, and then it kind of drops back down. For me, the number is 275-ish, 275, 280. If it hits that for 3 weeks in a row, then it's like, okay, something concerning is happening in the jobs market. Other than that, I'm going to feel pretty good. We haven't seen any surprises in any aspect from the labor market. It's all still about inflation. So really, then we have Fed speak, but we don't need Fed speak. We just had the Fed. Now we've got another 45 days. Next week, we've got nothing. Some consumer confidence on Tuesday, durable goods Wednesday, GDP Thursday, and then next Friday, we get our next batch of actual inflationary data. Okay. So market was fairly favorable, dropped. It's actually getting some of it back. We'll see. Leaves it unchanged. Signals possibility for one more. So overall, it wasn't like we're just kind of in a weird state of uncertainty, which makes, it fits for those of us who have been paying attention to the cyclical chart, here under the research, right? We're gonna go there, and I'm not gonna unveil it yet. I'm not gonna. If you've been there, and you've been here with me, then you've been there. We know what happens. We know what the second half tends to look like. We know there's a lot of uncertainty, and that there's been a very high degree of correlation with how our market's been moving relative to a cyclical market, like what we expect to see. Okay, right? So it's all about the Fed, the reaction. Is there a chance we still shake around for another couple of weeks? Yeah, that's what we've been talking about, right? That's what we've been talking about. Now we've essentially watched the market react. There's really not much else, right? Because when you go back and you look at the news, it's nothing but market reaction. What does the model think about the reaction? Feels okay on the SPY, right? Like we're going to bounce up. Not necessarily a higher high, but a same high. So I would say maybe neutral to slightly bullish on the SPY. I'm still bullish personally. When you look at the VIX, let's start from the bottom and work our way up. When you look at the VIX, volatility, and we're going to look at it today, but volatility is low. There really hasn't been any demonstration of institutional fear. So, okay, relax, right? If the institutions aren't panicking, then they're also, right? The retail traders aren't going to create like a wave of panic amongst the institutions. It's the other way around. And we're not seeing that. So, okay. When you look at the sectors, utilities have had a little bit of a surge. We'll look at that. Utilities have had a surge. That's a bit defensive. Ooh, a little cautious there. Consumer staples, nothing really there. Healthcare, nothing really there. Energy's been strong and still looks strong. Technology has been strong, and despite Apple's troubles, still, and even some chip struggles, right? Microsoft's looking better. Adobe looks good. Some software stuff's looking good. It looks okay. Financials is looking stronger. Consumer discretionary looking stronger. Industrials has struggled a little bit, right? But overall, there's enough bullishness amongst the growth sectors in a growth distribution. I'm definitely still feeling like the sector rotation, the money flow, is marking bullishly. Same thing with major market analysis. The Dow still lagging overall. NASDAQ still leading overall. The Russell not participating. So that is not in place. There is not a lot of appetite for risk amongst the small caps. Great. Good to know. You look at the trends, the long-term trends still intact. Short-term trend has been shook a little bit. Going to have to try to figure out what's going on there. Okay, yeah, overall, I would say that the long-term strength is there. The short-term is a bit uncertain. That's exactly, I'm gonna just go for the unveil. That's exactly what we're seeing here. We see now here, you can see there's a tendency to pop. We did pop a little bit. This tends to pop to a higher high. This one popped to a lower high. And this usually drops to a lower low, whereas this might not. This might drop down and get close, or might not drop a little. I don't know. But what I know is in the second half of September, there is a big tendency towards selling, whether it's redistribution at the end of quarter three, right? Realignment at the end of quarter three for the last quarter. Everyone's always like, oh, Q4, they realigned. No institution's like panicking on like December 30th and December 29th. Let's hurry and realign things. They're doing it all the way back in Q3, right? And you can see that there tends to be a lot of movement right around that period of time prior to this Q4 earnings season, and then we tend to see things move. So it's there's a realignment, a shift, maybe in preparation for this. I don't know, but that's the cycle, and so we still have another, I don't know, week and a half. This weekend next for that the cycle tends, and then October, early October to the second week of October, that's when we really are looking to see if that cycle holds and we can move into a bullishness. I'm up for it. My forecast without looking at this analysis actually is outside of my formal market forecasting process. I don't look. This is Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me now? Okay. I think I see the bars moving again. Yeah, I don't know what just happened, but audio is restored. Got it. That was weird. I apologize. I'm not sure what you heard. But yeah, let's go look at the other markets. I've now lost my train of thought. Thanks GoToWebinar. Made me lose my train of thought. A little more tepid on the NASDAQ, a little not terrible, but I would certainly characterize this as slightly bearish. Let's take a look at the Dow. Model tends to see the Dow and the S&P in a similar fashion, even though the Dow has a little bit more of a defensive tendency. Come on, you can see same. It says a little more neutral, but I would say it's very similar. Bullish bounce, overall sideways. That's very similar to what we're seeing. So I would say neutral to slightly bullish on the Dow, very similar to on the S&P. Here's the concern. Again, there hasn't been a lot of interest in the small caps. And you can see, maybe a little bit, about the same, I would say, actually, as the NASDAQ. So they're both showing a little bit cautiously, although I'll tell you what, that's not what we're seeing necessarily. Yes, on the IWM, not necessarily from the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ has held up. We can see it on XLK as well. Okay, let's go get a quiz. Let's go see what the market's doing now. So we've been processing. So here's energy. Let's just start with this. Looks strong. Higher high, pulling back. This looks like it's getting close to a point where we might think, I mean, this is my old high. Easy new low point to identify, but anything above that's even just as good for us. XLE is close, and whether you want to trade CVE, MPC, XOP, it doesn't matter. Or go straight for the ETF. This thing trades 20 million a day. It's got great options. It's a balance. Yeah, in fact, for me personally, I think I probably would go with the ETF. I haven't liked the way that the individual stocks have moved, but I do like the way that if energy is going to keep getting strong, I'm certainly going to be there to participate in it. And there's nothing here that makes us think anything other than that. Okay, so let's look at the SPY. It's turned around again. You can see there it is. So it was just kind of flat, and then right as the news hit, but it was as expected. We sold off. Then we rallied up right up until the press conference. I sent Jerome a text. Sent him a text, gave him a couple of key phrases I thought might help. Sent him some words of encouragement. He didn't respond. Left me on red. Didn't say anything either, but then look what happened. So I don't know. Probably should have listened. Yeah, the sellers are closing this thing down. Let's see what our volume looks like overall here. I mean, yeah, I'm okay with this still. That's not a lot of volume. If this holds, drinking bitter coffee. Okay, says Jerome was drinking bitter coffee. We're right at yesterday's low. Do we hold it? Do we bounce back up? Does this hold relative to these levels here? Yeah. I mean, certainly it's not great, right? It's not great. My market posture score on the short term will drop a little bit more, but that's not huge volume, right? Like that's not like, oh gosh, they're panicking. It's the Fed is spooking everybody. Nobody's spooked. It's just kind of like, eh. In fact, before we do the quiz, let's look at the VIX. I mean, look at that, right? Like if that's all I saw, if you're just like, hey, Scott, look at the VIX. What do you see? Be like, wow. I would expect us to be in a pretty bullish scenario in the market right now. Right? And this is what I try to do when I do my market posture. This is its own unique indicator. Don't let anything else influence you as you read this. What does it say? I mean, it says that we had a little blip up, but it was pretty minor. We never even got above 18. We escalated, but we never escalated in like a amplifying manner. A lot of times it amplifies up. Doesn't go up 3 points, it goes up 9, and then it goes back, and then it goes up 15, right? It amplifies. It didn't do that. It just sort of, it kind of did it. It showed like some concern, and then it just eased up again. And here we are. Now, what's happening? Right? The market's selling off a little bit on this Fed news. And when you look at this, what do I see? I see us hitting some resistance underneath 15, underneath the 50-day. You know, this is a pretty consistent level. If I draw this across from all the way back here, even, right? If I just come across like that's, you can see how many times we've touched it on multiple sides. Does it look like we're ramping up? Like, oh, here comes the fear. We're going to break through that. The institutions are turning into sellers. Or does it look like, can't hear you. Can you hear me now? Someone just gave me a can't hear you message, but my microphone bars are moving this time. I'm watching them. Can you guys hear me right now? No issues at all. Audio is good. Got it. I thought so. That person left. They'll probably log back in. Okay. Yeah. So for me, I look at this and I think, all right, this thing looks like it could hold up still. There's no spot. Now, at the same time, I'm also kind of thinking about what would my line of consolidation be. I don't foresee a higher low here. I mean, I don't know. It hasn't even turned around yet, but I am concerned that if all of a sudden it popped through there, someone asked about the hedge, I would be like, ooh, I think I might hedge that. I'm still getting it at like 15. Any mid-teens or less hedge is cheap. I'm talking $1.60 or less on that 5 weeks, 5% out of the money puts. It's a good spot to be in. When you're anything under 18 is okay. Anything 15 or less is great. And so I would put that on. And then if it just sort of sputtered out and then pulled back and then did this, well, now that is a higher low. And I would add, and again, you would see I'm adding where? 14 and a half, 15. And I would put another piece on there. If something develops, I feel like I have a pretty good system to help get me something in play while I manage anything else that might be going the wrong way, right? So I'm not like, oh, what if the market starts to get ugly, I should see it in some sort of a pattern that looks like this. This shouldn't be a surprise. I've got a line of consolidation. If it breaks that, I have higher lows. If all of a sudden it's sneakily like, oh, crap, look at that. I'm ready. I'm going to watch. But for me, right now, that's not what we're seeing. Right now, what we're seeing is it's holding. The market is selling a little bit today. Do we see institutions like, oh, watch out? Nope. They look pretty tepid. I would expect a pretty mild day today. So as of right now, there's nothing disruptive happening here. Certainly, right, we expected the latter half of September to have some issues. So if it did come down a little bit more, would I be like, oh man, that's shocking? No. But if it holds and it starts to move, would I look to trade it? I would. Right? I have enough bullishness in my posture that there are still going to be. You'll see when we look through our list here of opportunities. There's still plenty of stuff, right? Okay, I went a little long. Let's get a quiz. Who's feeling bearish? Oh, look at this thing. Okay, so to be bearish, this is what it's going to be. I'm going to zoom in, but I know where I'm going with this thing. Bears, it's got to come down. I'm going to say it's got to close at new lows. Bam. C. Bulls, it's got to break back above this level here. You're up there. A. Where it sits, B. That is, here's the exact numbers. 440.35, 440.35 and below, C. 441.50 and above, A. Sitting around in the middle, B. I'm not sure what Bob is. I might need to have him repeat his answer. It's just not clear. Bob's a C. LK is a B. Martine is a B. John is a C. Brad is a B. Still no sound. If there's no sound, it's definitely on your side, but the fact that you're not hearing me say that isn't helpful at all. So I guess there's nothing we can do. I hope you get it fixed. Alan is a C, says the sound is good. Randall says the same. He's a B. Still yapping. Okay. I'm going A. Okay, John, good to see you back. I'm going A. I'm gonna buck the trend. Feeling bullish. It's gonna pop. I mean, it's not really bullish, right? Still finishing low. I think we're gonna see a late session rally. Oh, let's go see what Stella says. Plus, nobody else. It's gonna be a solo gold medal. You guys know how much I like solo gold medals. One of my most favorite things in all of life. There's not many of them. Those of us who have them, we covet them. Go. What does Stella say? Stella says, who is a B? For no other reason than it was cheap. Right at that time, a couple of bullish trades, but I closed them down quickly. One of them gained a little, one of them broke even or maybe ended up slightly in the loss. So overall, it's like, well, that's fine because now the hedge is playing out okay. Half a hedge wasn't a big deal. What was it? I mean, literally, it was like $1.35. If you know the contracts, so it's one of the reasons why when I hedge according to VIX signals, what I've determined to do is go 5 weeks out in time. That gives me enough time. Usually, I don't want to be in it at week 5. I'd like it to take no more than 3 weeks. And usually, if something nasty is going to happen, it's going to take in that 3-week period. So 5 weeks, and I go 5% out of the money, which means that if I get like a big consolidation, it goes from out of the money to at the money. And if I get a correction and I have a couple of contracts still on, it goes from out of the money to at the money to 5% in the money with a swell in volatility. Those couple of contracts are going to be like 10 bangers, right? I mean, just big winners. Amazing stuff, which is helpful because the first thing you're doing is cleaning up, and it's nice to have something working while you're cleaning up. So now with that in mind, what it's done is standardized price, right? So it's like, if you looked when we saw this signal, like in a time when the VIX was in the high 20s, those contracts cost $3.50, right? For that, right? The first hedge I did, earlier, was about $1.70. The one I just did now is $1.35. They're always within a few days of each other, and within $1 strike, right? 5% out of the money, 5 weeks out in time. That is the formula that makes it so that I can standardize the entire hedging process. So now, was this a signal? No. The signals are break a consolidation or higher low. So what is this? It was cheap. And I said this over and over. Over here, someone's like, should we hedge? Well, should you? I don't know. Could you? Yeah, it's cheap. Anywhere it was 13, I would say that same thing. And every time it probably worked out okay for you. It might have taken a little bit of time, but if you were patient, pays off. So anyways, oil should pull back after a huge oversold puts on yesterday. I think oil is pulling back. I agree. I'll trade the pullback when it shows a higher low. But yeah, I'd be thinking tight trail stop on any bullish, any bearish, any counter trend position. Actually, I would say my advice is tight trail stops. Whatever you catch in the beginning, because you never know when that thing's just gonna wham, just catch some momentum and smash up the other way. But it definitely seems to be in its consolidation period right now. I 100% agree with you on that. All right. Would I do it again Friday? I would put it on if it breaks out. Yes, right? Like my line of consolidation is probably right through here. So I would say 15 and a half to 16. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Oh, nice. Yeah, Bob, right? Protect some profit, take the risk out. Awesome. Great conversations. And I did note, Carmen, that you are a B. So I appreciate you sending that in. Okay, so what does that mean? We're still a little bit like in no man's land trying to figure out how are we. This is the information we've been waiting for. Now, how do we trade it? Right? Does it turn into a sell-off? Does it stabilize and bounce? You know, we're in a period of uncertainty. So it's yeah, most definitely. Okay, well, let's go to the watch list then. What do we have that's working or not working? So I told you with Apple, I'm rooting for Apple. And it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's, whoops, that's a little high. Let's go there. Until it breaks out of that, I mean, it would be great if it holds at this low, but coming down. But no, let's see. I'm waiting for it to bust out. Nothing there yet, but hey, stabilizing is good enough for the Nasdaq if there's enough other things that are moving for the time being. Adobe turns. Adobe gave a signal right through here. Looks good at the end of the day. Looked really good today, kind of giving it back. But overall, I would say Adobe looks bullish. Yeah. Aflac. I didn't believe this little kind of, I told you I don't trade one day consolidations like this where it just pulls back and then sort of just moves back. This is all still for me the same test. This is how I'm seeing this. There is no low established in here. That's my last low. I just hit overbought and now it's trying to pull back. My trade exists somewhere in here on the pullback. So there you go. AIG, same thing, waiting for the pullback. They both did pretty well, actually. I don't think this really gave a good signal the way Aflac did. Aflac was a great signal. I was a little hesitant and didn't end up taking it. Amazon is setting up. It's, you know, as things got worse, you can see today sell-off got worse and we're near the low for the day. But this is our last low, so we're still higher. This is the 50. We're still sitting on top of it and have been for quite some time. We're in this oversold position and the piece de resistance. Look at that volume. That doesn't look like a break. That doesn't look like a break support reverse trend kind of volume to me. Does it to you? Looks like, certainly they're pushing the lows, but they're the same lows that they pushed at yesterday. If it holds today and bounces tomorrow, it's still holding the same support level. So don't let this panic us into any like, oh, that's it. It's the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. Yeah, actually, I think that's a great looking setup. Give me a nice little doji or dragonfly doji, something like that tomorrow, and then give me like a nice turn candle, and this thing that looks perfect. Looks like it did back in here. It's like, yeah, giddy up. I love it. So I'm watching that for a potential entry. ANET, same thing, right? It's just sitting right there. This is turning. It's just like, give us just a little. If the price for me gets above this, I'm in. I like it. This one has not a ton of volume, so the options are a little more iffy in there. APO. Yeah. This is a new financial. It's just a little overbought. Nothing we can do. Just like this one too, right? Blackstone's overbought. We needed to pull back. I'm still watching a couple of industrials. And you can see they're just sort of kind of grinding down. They've gone through what looks like a couple cycles. I would actually say this is really in the whole like triangle kind of a pattern. So there was quite a bit of bullishness, but I don't think any of them are good now. This is doing the same thing, right? Same thing. I could certainly draw a very similar type of a consolidation, and that's on the ones that have held up. Let's see what Deere looks like. John Deere says triangle. He says triangle. Right? Clearly, there's this consolidation down. I mean, honestly, I could probably draw this all the way if I really wanted to, but yeah, it's there's nothing there for us. Where was I? Cisco. I kind of liked it, but now that it kind of like had this quasi bullish cycle that nothing really came from, I'm a little less inclined to it. That was new. I'm like, oh, look at that trend. Yeah, but I'm not interested in catching it at the end. So we'll see what happens. But I'm a little less inclined. The longer this goes without it given an actual buying cycle, the less inclined I am to consider that. CVE. There's the pullback, right, that we were talking about. That's the pullback of energy that can give it all back very quickly, which we do not want to do. So just be aware. And then what's setting up behind it? Dell looks pretty bullish still. Today's a little disrupted. It's still kind of trying to find its way, but that's a big higher high coming off a huge earnings report. Smashed it up, just kept going and going and going, higher high coming back. Yeah, I'm curious if that does it again. That's very nice. Dow, triangle, DKNG. It's viable to me. You know I like this one. It's traded it a few times recently. Flex, less inclined because it just kind of keeps going down, but I'll keep watching. Gold, nothing there. IBM, I missed it. Anybody catch that? I saw it yesterday. Didn't really have any pinch or anything yet on the stochastics. I was like, I like the candle, but I'm gonna wait for the confirmation. Got it today. Too late. I'm not gonna chase that. I mean, it is pulled back a little bit. I don't know. Maybe now. Yeah. Doesn't look good. SPY selling off. Yeah, doesn't look good, does it? Come on. Maybe you jinxed it. Maybe you jinxed it, though, Bob. Maybe that's what just happened. We'll see. Was bullish. Looks good. Intel. So Intel was one that I'm like, oh, look at Intel. Maybe that's the savior of the chips. And then as soon as it's like I jinxed this one. I started watching it here, and then all of a sudden it was like kaboom, kaboom. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I would still be a maybe. That's still a higher low. I can't let it get this low though. Like that's too much retracement. This is still about 60, right? This is about 60. This is still a viable Fibonacci retracement. I'm okay with that. Any more loses its shine. IWM. Oh yeah, the small caps are just they're struggling. Whoops. What did I do? Come on. Where are you going? Oh, it's so slow. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's where I want to be. I mean, it's at new lows. It's at low of the day. This one does have pretty decent looking volume. In fact, I would say this might be above average volume by the time it gets down. So certainly there's some concerns. One of those concerns with this market is the lack of interest in small caps. Not just the lack of interest, but a disinterest, an active disinterest is building. So that's not great. JP Morgan, I like that. That broke out. That broke out of the consolidation line, higher high. It's crossing to the downside. Am I thinking, hey, let's trade puts? No, I'm not bearish on that at all. In fact, I think it's given me 2 of the 3 signals that I need. It broke the line of consolidation, sign 1. It made a higher high, sign 2. Now what? Sellers. Let's watch them. Let's evaluate them. If they don't have very much and they don't push very hard, and this thing makes a higher low, giddy up. That's what I'm looking for. And it's the same with JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. We already had something like this on Morgan Stanley. We'll see that in just a second. Meta, that's a maybe. It's moving weirdly, and I don't know that I'm like, hey, are you guys interested in trading this weirdly moving stock? It's moving pretty weird. You want to trade it? That's not the description. Come on. Okay. MPC. Right? Like, do you see what I mean when I say I feel like I found some good bullish CVE MPC, but overall, I feel like that XLE as an ETF is the most balanced, consistent mover. And so for me, I feel more inclined to go XLE with any of that type of trade rather than catch any of these individually. Morgan Stanley pulling back today. Got that move. Now what am I looking for? Looking for a higher low. Looking for this thing to hold support at 86. Maybe 85 and a half. Not much lower than that, right? It should hold above this line right here. Maybe this line here. So it's got to hold above there. If it does, boom, another one. And that adds to the list, and it adds to the breadth of a financial rally. Microsoft, yeah, it's kind of getting hit a little bit today. But if it can hold, I'm still okay with it. You can see the volume's not there. But don't love that. We'd like to see this thing stabilize before it gets back down. Not that I really love trading Microsoft, but I'm rooting for Microsoft for the same reason I'm rooting for Apple. And that is that if those 2 stocks are in any way trending up, then there's a good chance the NASDAQ is. And if we're going to have a sustainable bullish market, we need the NASDAQ trending up. These are just pieces of the puzzle. We don't make the rules. We just are players in the game. Okay. Let's see what's next. NVIDIA was disappointing. Still was disappointing back here. I took that trade, and then it's like, oh, and then it's like out. Very, very easy. I mean, that was like maybe a third, a quarter of the loss. It was not bad. But now look, I mean, it just keeps going down. Now it's in a line of consolidation, right? I mean, you get the gist. My drawing's off point today. Don't have good focus. I'm still thinking about this one. Even now, even today, if it can stabilize, if tomorrow, I want that bullish harami tomorrow. And then I want that bounce candle to confirm it. And then I'll be like, yeah, let's take a couple things. That means we shook off the Fed, especially if we see broad patterns along those lines. It's not there today, though, right? Today, we're out near the lows. Not great. That's not tenable for it. Today, I'm glad I put a half a hedge on and don't have much bullish on coming into the Fed. But my market posture is bullish. It stayed the same, which is bullish. So despite whatever else we see, I'm not that bullish, John, but I am here. I'll give you a look. 4.25 for me, but it stayed 4.25. right? Even though the short term dropped, the volume improved a little bit. The VIX, that's still strong, improved a little bit. Overall, I'm like, hey, I feel pretty comfortable with this, despite what we other things. And so I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. RCL, there's nothing there for us yet. SMCI, I don't know. I think there's better things, right? I think Flex and PLTR. I don't really like the way this one's moving. In fact, I think I'm going to bounce this one from my list. I've been trying to clean the watch list more, a little more active, cleaning up the watch list. It's Parents Weekend up at Utah State University. They sell these tickets, and you like go have like university breakfast, and then you go like to some like museum tour. And my daughter's like, "Come up, my friends are doing it." I'm like, that sounds terrible. So we are going up, but we're not doing. We're gonna be like, all right, what's the best breakfast joint there? And we're gonna go there. Then we're gonna go to the mall, maybe shop a little with her, take her to Costco, hang out. I don't tailgate and go to a football game. That sounds terrible. She goes with her friends. Yeah, but I'm so excited to go up and hang out with her for the day. So I will get to see her on Saturday. Very nice, very nice. Super excited. Okay, what's next? Sorry, I had to mention that. Where are we? We are at SPY. Oh, son of a gun. Sees the C. Oh, look at that. It just came crushing in right after we initiated just sort of went up for a minute and then just like smashed down. Woo! Nah, there's plenty of C's. There was like 3 or 4 C's. C's and B's were spread out pretty good. The only way to have got a solo is to be wrong as an A, like me. Okay. Yeah. It's not looking great. Sellers are going to close us down, but the volume is drying up a little bit. We'll see. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. We will. Let's move it back out. Nope. The weekly. Yeah, the weekly's a little bit. Okay, so there is a concern here. Let's kind of talk about this. If it doesn't recover, we've been relying on this right here, and that's coming out of it, right? That's coming down. Not with a lot of volume, but that makes this roll over. That's concerning there. That's concerning. That is actually going to suck a little bit out of my long-term score because 2 things is happening. 2 things is happening. Number 1, I've got a lower high. Number 2, I broke the consolidation. It's going to lose a 1/4 point for each of those things unless something dramatic happens over the next 2 days. So, a 1/2 point. Yeah, it's going to lose a 1/4 for each half. So that's going to drop down. Short-term trend might get a little worse. Volume is not bad. I don't see the volume getting worse. The rest of these are holding up. So 3.5. We might stay bullish, but drop a little bit, which I'm okay with coming in. If it drops a little bit in the second half of September, but not much, and then the trend holds, that keeps me poised and in a good place for a bullish rally. Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm certainly not bearish, right? There's certainly not bearishness coming out yet, even though I do have puts on. They were, like I said, just speculative based on cheap puts. And they're doing all right, but it's not like it's a huge trade. So, okay, let's go finish this. Yeah, all right. So I do think it's gonna show a little bit more weakness after this week, but we just have to kind of stabilize after the Fed in order to catch that last rally. TJX. Sorry, let me actually get out of this back to 6-month daily. That looks pretty good still. We've said consumer discretionary. It's kind of the same as that one, but overall still looks good within the context of what I would define as the trend. So I like that. It's not there now. Nothing's there now, right? Nothing's there now. The puts aren't even there now. If you're not already in puts, I don't know that I would be like, yeah, let's go throw those on as it tests support on average volume. Yeah. Meh. Tesla looks pretty good, actually, right? Had good earnings. It busted up, made a new high, pulling back. Looks like it's going to find some new support at the old resistance. It looks bullish. I'm not like a huge Tesla fan, but it's got a nice bullish trade. I'll certainly look to take it. Let's see. UBS was, oh my God, what is going on with my mouse? It's on crack. UBS, it was really just quite aggressively strong. Gapped up on the earnings. Made a higher high, pulled back, higher low, and then it's just like it tried. It's coming down. It's just really not getting back up there. It is bullish, but I think this one got a little bit ahead of itself, a little bit parabolic, maybe a little too early. So let's just be patient. We're not looking to force anything. I have good financials with JP Morgan, with Morgan Stanley. You'll see here in a minute with Wells Fargo. Upstart is not. I'm telling you though, this little stock, now that it's back at 28, it got a taste up here. And it's like, oh, that's what I want to. It tasted it. It wants to be back there. It's stuck in this like basing range. It's like, I don't know. But what's going to happen is it's going to kind of go up at one point and it's just going to pop it. It's going to be subtle. A lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I don't know. And then it's just going to kind of pull back 3-4 days. It's going to sit right in there and then, whoop, and then it's going to be just in time for that fall rally. It's going to give 3 moves to get back up. And it may not get to 72, but it's at least going to get to 65. That's what I see happen. I'm ready. You guys are TM. Sorry, I didn't see it. I'll come back. I did miss it. You're welcome to join me for this little party. It's setting up. Let's just be patient. Patience, my friend. Patience. TM. Toyota. Oh, Toyota. Look at Toyota. Very strong. They're like, we're not having auto union strikes. But they are, aren't they? Aren't they still going to be a part of it? Or is it only American companies? American Auto Work. I don't know. It's only GM and Ford. Okay. So they're like, dun, da, da, da. Toyota. I like Toyota. I have a Toyota. I have a Highlander. It's getting a little old, though. I'm looking at something new. HMC, Honda Motor Company. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yeah, look at those two. I've had my previous car before the Highlander was a Pilot. And before that was a CRV. I like Honda. Apparently, I like Japanese cars. I like Honda. My kids both drive a Nissan, although the Nissan transmissions are garbage. Anyways, sorry. Got me distracted. See what happens, Bob, when you get me distracted? Let's go back. Buy a Bentley. It's by British. Aston Martin, Rolls Royce. We already looked at the VIX. Wells Fargo, that's what I'm talking about, right? Broke out, new high. Give me that little pullback. Anything from, I would say, about 41.5 and up. I'd prefer it 42 and up, but I would be willing to accept that number there. Oh, it's looking good. There's going to be some financial payoff. WRK Westrock. Little bit of a shark frenzy. Got a little parabolic there. So you're in dangerous waters, but it does look like a higher high followed by the possibility of a higher low. But I'm telling you, you may find yourself in an interesting place. It's crazy because I would have thought the volatility would be higher than it is, but it's not. This is my preference for energy. It's pulling back. It's at or near. It's looking viable and ready to set up. So this is definitely one we might be talking about as a trade by the time we talk. Oh no, we talk Friday. Okay, yeah, we'll see. Maybe. Financials. Even with this, I still feel like this is holding up. I still like financials. Industrials, I don't. It's at new lows. Staples, I don't. It's at new lows. Utilities, I do. And it doesn't have to be a utility company. Again, my preference for this one is probably also just simply to trade the ETF. We could go run a search and throw some, but you know what we end up doing? We end up watching a few of them. We're like, I don't really like how that moves. And then we throw them away. If it's going to be a trade, it's going to show up here. If it's here, we'll look at it. We'll think about it. It does look like it's setting up. So I would say let's be ready for something out of utilities, something out of energy. Those are a little bit outside the market. But even within the market, let's see what the next few days brings us. Okay, so let's see how we're finishing. On the VIX, we're finishing at the highs, but we're still finishing at or below the 50. We're still finishing no higher than we've been the last 2 days, even though we're finishing at that level. I'm okay with that. You look at the SPY. 5 minutes left. We are under yesterday's volume, so it's an engulfing day without the volume. Still above the 50. We did take out the prior low. Not stoked about that from a bullish perspective, but we also acknowledge that that is simply a reality of the second half of September, right? We've been talking about that for a month now, that, hey, whatever else happens, we're going to be very careful in the second half of September and not overexpose ourselves to risk and not think that we're going to, right? So even though my posture was more bullish, I took a couple of different trades here or there, took a little piece, took losses early because overall, I think that the context of this specific cyclical market was more prevalent, especially with the Fed news. Now we've gotten through that. We're going to see how we process it. And this is where we find ourselves. I'm going to be bullish. I'm going to be a little less bullish, but still bullish. Slightly bullish, if not anything else. Okay, fingers crossed, right? That's kind of what we're looking for here in the second half. Is it could get a little bit worse, but we're hoping it's not too bad. It stabilizes and we get that fall rally, October, November, December. That would be amazing to trade 3 months, because usually it then takes a little pause in January. Then we get March, April, May, right? And so, then if things get nasty, great, fine, we'll be ready for it. Do I have your address for your order? C's, you magnificent, magnificent bastards. It's not a solo, but it's still pretty impressive. Like, wow, the sellers really closed this thing down. Down 1% at the end of the day. Still not enough, though, to kick it into above average volume. So there you go. All right. Well, listen, it's great to see everybody. I've missed you since last Friday. It's always nice. We just have to get through Thursday. Then we're hanging out Friday. This week, you just have to get through the weekend, and we're hanging out Monday. Then we got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then, boom, weekend. And we hang out every day the week after. It's an embarrassment of riches. Everybody's going to have a great time, especially me. I mean, I do care if the rest of you have a good time. I care. I just don't care as much as if I have a good time. That's the most important thing. Am I having fun? Great. Great. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Thursday. I'll see you Friday morning with coffee. We'll discuss what's going on. Do any of these setups start to turn into signals? And other than that, as always, happy trading.